Okay. The Art of Self-Defense, Chapter 9. Okay, I was having a great week, no doubt about it. Not only did I get the blue ribbon on Wednesday, but on Thursday the class got a long letter from Mrs. Mack. She included a letter of her standing by a waterfall next to some very strange-looking creatures. They looked like hairy pigs or raccoony dogs. These are coatis, Miss Pressburn said, reading from the letter, pronounced co-a-tis. The coatis looked weird. Miss Mack looked gorgeous, especially with the red, yellow, and orange flowers surrounding her. How I wished I could be there with her, except maybe for the fact that those coatis might not be hamster-friendly. At the end of their letter, Miss Mack wrote, "So farewell to all my wonderful friends in room 26, especially the small one with the big heart, Humphrey." Sigh, sigh, sigh. Though the thought of Miss Mack made me happy, the weekend was coming up soon, and I always felt a little nervous about where I'd be spending it. When it was decided on Thursday that I was going home with Miranda Golden, I was so excited. I only got an 83% on my vocabulary tests. Saya got 100%. I know, because that time when Miss Brisbane asked who got 100%, she raised her hand. I always figured that Miranda lived in a castle, because she reminded me of a fairy tale princess in disguise. Wherever it was, it had to be wonderful if Miranda lived there. Well, Miranda's home wasn't exactly a castle, but it was very tall. Miranda lived in a fourth-floor apartment with her mom and her big dog, Clem. We had to take an elevator to get there. The apartment was nice. The mom was nice. Clem was not nice. Let me explain. Miranda has a small bedroom, and her mom let me stay there right on the desk. To welcome me, the two of them did a complete clean-out of my cage. "I'll bet nobody's done this for a while," said Miranda's mom, and she was right. Pretty soon I felt like a brand new hamster. Suddenly, Clem bounded into the room, a big mass of yellow fur, poking his huge nose right up against my cage. His wet nostrils were like two eyes staring in at me, and he stuck out a giant tongue that came at me like a tidal wave. Luckily, the cage protected me. "Mom!" Miranda yelled. "Please get Clem out of here." Thank heavens, Mom took Clem out for a walk in the park while Miranda showed me her room. She held pictures of her friends and family up to the cage so I could see. Her dad, her stepmom, her grandparents in Florida. Next, she introduced me to her goldfish, Fanny. She wasn't so much of a conversationalist. I squeaked, "Nice to meet you, Fanny." And she said, "Blub." I was thinking about how wonderful it would be to live with Miranda all the time when Clem returned from the park and galloped into the room. "Clem, stay out," Miranda shouted. But Clem just wagged his tail and barked. Miranda closed the door so the dog had to stay outside, but we could still hear him whining and crying like a baby out in the hall. Still, just being with Miranda made everything seem golden until her mom called her to go shopping. Miranda protested. Good girl. But Mom didn't want her to stay inside on such a nice day. She had no choice unless she was rude to her mom, which Miranda would never be. "I won't be gone long," Miranda told me, "and I'll make sure the door is shut tightly so Clem can't get in." Everything would be all right, I assured myself. After all, Miranda had said so. I was all set to get in a good daytime snooze. But as soon as the door to the apartment closed, Clem started whining outside the door. I could hear his big paws up on the door trying to push it open. I was a little nervous, but Miranda had assured me I'd be all right. After all, she wouldn't be gone long. Then I heard it, the slight turning of the doorknob, as Clem flung himself at the door repeatedly. What a barbarian he was! Suddenly the door swung open and Clem burst in and ran straight to my cage. I tried to distract him by spinning on my wheel. I can do that for hours if necessary. I thought the spinning wheel might even hypnotize him, like in an old movie I'd seen with Miss Mack. Miss Mack, where was she when I needed her? But apparently all that spinning just excited Clem more. He started barking at me, but I couldn't understand a word he said. "Now cut that out," I squeaked at him. That just seemed to make him more hot and bothered. He plopped his front paws up on the desk and stuck his nose against the cage door near the lock. "That lock doesn't lock." "Easy now, calm down," I squeaked soothingly at the beast, but he kept poking his nose at the cage, showing me his huge tongue and the huge teeth around it. Let me just say that Clem could stand some breath mints. He poked the lock again and again. I knew if he jiggled it enough, the door would swing open, and I'd be history. Poor Miranda would never know what had happened to me. She might even cry. I couldn't stand the thought of Miranda crying. I hopped back on my wheel and started spinning with all my might, hoping to buy some time. Clem pulled back for a moment and stared at the wheel going round and round. Let me just say I'm glad that Clem is about 2 quarts low in the brain department. Whew, I'm a good spinner. But I was getting worried about how long I could keep it up when Golden Miranda rushed in. She never looked more beautiful to me than in that moment. Clem, stop it, she shouted in a very firm voice. Bad boy. Clem raced to her side, wagging his tail. Miranda's mom dragged old Clem out of the room and closed the door behind her. Whew, whew, whew. Miranda was very sorry. She opened the cage and reached in to pick me up. Poor Humphrey, she said, hugging me. She set me on her desk and stroked me gently with one finger. I'm so sorry, Humphrey, so sorry. Oh, I don't know what felt better, the petting or Miranda's soothing words. Miranda felt so terrible about what had happened. She let me play on her desk. She lined up books all along the edges so I wouldn't fall off. Then she let me wander around and see all the sights.